Hot D continues to throw out banger after banger after banger. This review will contain spoilers for Fire and Blood. This is my favourite episode so far. The show has really come into its own. It really did feel like early Game of Thrones with rich dialogue and character work and pretty intriguing setup for future events. The episode takes its time. It doesn't need to rush. It doesn't have any action. We're just following these fascinating characters as they discover more about themselves and the world around them. There was something different about the direction of this episode, especially in the pleasure house. There were plenty of close-ups and low shots, making you feel like you truly were watching from Rhaenyra's perspective. The brothels in Game of Thrones always felt gross and lifeless, while this felt dangerous, seedy, scary, enticing. Sex is at the heart of this episode, but it's not fulfilling some meaningless HBO quota. Actually, it probably is. But it didn't feel like it. Rhaenyra is a rebel who chafes against the restrictions society has placed on her for being a woman, and Daemon opens her eyes to sex as an act of pleasure, taken by those who want it. This worldview, as well as her comments about men facing no consequences for siring bastards, is setting the groundwork for when Rhaenyra has 3 strong boys of her own. Her scene with Daemon, who is clearly grooming her, is intercut with Viserys and Alicent. The second montage of the season and almost as effective as the first. Pleasure and taboo temptation versus cold, uncomfortable duty. The whole situation is very ambiguous in Fire and Blood. It looks like they've mixed the stories together. Rhaenyra almost does the deed with Daemon and then actually does the deed with Criston, and bumps into Harwin for good measure. On that note, let me just reel back a second. Ryan Condal. Give Harwin some love. He's barely in episode 3, has like one line this episode, casual fans don't know who the hell he is, show this man some respect. He's the ancestor of this dude after all, right? That was confirmed, right? Right? Anyway, this all helps to expand Rhaenyra and Daemon's perverse relationship, as well as preparing Criston Cole for his monstrous journey in the future. There's been plenty of debate surrounding the sex scenes. For me, Rhaenyra's 18, but she's still being groomed by her uncle. That's not good. It's a controversial take, I know. Slightly less dark than her being 14 in Fire and Blood, holy shit. Alicent is suffering marital rape. She is doing something she doesn't want to do for the sake of duty and expectation, while Viserys wrongfully assumes that she's fine with it. But what about Christmas Cole? Well, there's definitely a power imbalance at play, but it's portrayed as pretty consensual. Criston is reluctant and torn over breaking his vows, but the Targussi prove to be too strong. Might be misreading it, but I get the sense that Criston has a genuine romantic interest in Rhaenyra, while she was just pent up and wanted some big C. I do appreciate how long and tender this moment was, so that they didn't just slam cut to Criston without his armour on. Fire and Blood deals with conflicting sources, and while the show mostly presents an objective view of events, I appreciate the ambiguity afforded to many scenes. Why did Daemon storm off? Was it guilt? Guilt for betraying Viserys or grooming Rhaenyra? Or could he just not get it up? And why? Because Rhaenyra was enjoying herself and showing agency, as they said in Inside the episode? Why does Mysaria rat out Daemon? Are they working together, or is Mysaria taking revenge? I love all these questions being thrown at the audience. I personally think it's the former regarding Mysaria. I don't think Daemon concocted some big plan. He just acts chaotically and exploits the consequences. He gets found out and instead of denying it, asks to marry Rhaenyra. So what else is in this episode? Well, the intro at Storm's End was lots of fun. At first I was wondering why there were so many Riverland houses visiting Storm's End, but I think it's because they wanted the Blackwood vs Bracken duel, and they also had an actor for Borman Baratheon already, as well as a set for Storm's End apparently. Interesting. I hope we see a certain confrontation at the end of this season. I suppose in these circumstances it makes sense to have the Riverland houses go to Storm's End instead of, building a River Run set and casting a Tully for one scene. I definitely wasn't expecting a Blackwood vs Bracken reference in the show, so that was a great surprise. Interesting that they changed their names. Perhaps they're not yet sure whether this kid will become Lord Blackwood or merely a brother of Lord Samwell in Fire and Blood, so I suppose they might not want their future casting decisions restricted by the physical appearance of a child in one scene. Also, shout out to my boys in House Mud. They dragged their way out of extinction just to try and marry Rhaenyra. Seriously, why are they there? Daemon's return was pretty cool. Not as cool as in the book where he's circling above a tournament, but I understand tournaments are complicated and expensive. Also, Daemon's fresh trim, maybe the best wig in the show. I always complain about Targs all having long hair and people say, oh, that's because short wigs suck and you don't want the actor to bleach their hair. Well, look at this wig. Pretty short, one of the best. The play felt like a loving nod to the one I watched in season 6. I'm a sucker for this kind of thing. It was cool to learn that a year's passed by having Aegon be referred to as 3 years old. That was nice and subtle. I don't think the main performer really sold it. I know, something about his performance or his voice just didn't work for me. I also think there's way too much circular reasoning in this show surrounding the woman issue. Rhaenyra can't take the throne because she's a woman, and because she's a woman she has no cock, she can't take the throne. Like, sometimes the characters talk like modern people mocking the medieval worldview, as opposed to characters that have been raised in this medieval world. I want to hear the actual, if absurd, reason behind their sexist attitudes instead of just Aegon better because penis. Otto got fired. It was cool to see his mask slip. I've never seen him look so shook. In Fire and Blood he gets booted for pushing the succession too much, and it's similar here, but Rhaenyra delivers the killing blow. I'm still a bit confused by Viserys' speech about his father. Is he implying that Balon was murdered by Otto, so Otto could become Hand? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't get that. What's he hinting at? Maybe I'm just being dumb. The episode ends with Plan T being delivered. Ha! I bet no one's made that joke before. This made me wonder, what if Rhaenyra didn't drink the tea? What if Jacaerys is Criston Cole's son, and the other two are Harwin's sons, and then Criston joins the Greens and he's actually fighting against his own... Oh god, Ryan, have mercy.
Ryan, no.
Ryan, oh yeah, prophecy shit. Stop putting it in the show. I don't care. The prince that was promised was an abandoned fetus of an idea in Season 7 that didn't come to fruition in Season 8. Why reference it? Hot D is starting to feel like a prequel for a parallel universe Game of Thrones that actually ended well. Overall, best episode yet. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content, like and subscribe for more, and check out my other videos. See ya.